Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Boku no Hero Academia, or My Hero Academia, Season 3, Episode 1, almost said Season 1, Episode 3, but seriously, I'm so excited. I tweeted out this morning, I was like, I'm like a kid on Christmas morning, all over again, because I've just been so excited for Season 3. I've gone back and as I've been working the past week or two, I've just been listening to so many other people's videos on the first two seasons. So yeah, I'm really happy with what we got for episode 1, and even though it was a bit of recap, I think that works out because I was kind of expecting that. The premiere of season 2 was pretty recap-ish, and what was good about this is that there was important plot and character stuff in this episode too, and they were able to continue on the story and just tell the recap within little flashbacks in the story. And even then, the recap flashbacks, I watched the episode twice. I seriously doubt that any of them were longer than a minute, maybe a minute and a half for those flashback scenes. And even when they did it, it all felt like it worked. So even though it was recap-ish, definitely no problem. I kind of expected it. And even then, there's a huge difference between a good recap episode and a bad recap episode. I'm not going to shit on something just because it was a recap episode. Also, before I get into this, because I'm going to be talking about the opening and stuff a lot, I'm not going to get into spoilers from the manga. I have read the manga, but I'm not going to talk about any of that. So don't worry about spoilers and stuff. I am going to avoid it, even though with discussing the opening, it's going to be a little bit difficult. The opening, it works out that this was recap too, so the video's not super long, because we're going to talk about the opening a bit. It was kind of the most important part of the episode, really, with all that was packed into it. There was a lot of symbolism and stuff that I hadn't really caught before, and this morning, ever since it came out, I've probably watched the opening 1,000 times, so I can at least speak to this. A lot more than the episode that I only watched twice. But either way, talking about the opening, there's a part of it that kind of worries me. Now, everything else is so amazing that kind of way overshadows that, but there are some things that worry me a little bit. This opening covered things that I thought were going to be like all season, the full 25, 26 episodes. And if this is just going to be for the first half of the season, then I hope they don't rush things. I don't think they will. But I was hoping to see more of the actual training camp type stuff that we know was going to happen. We have them all preparing for that this episode, and we learned about it last season too. So I kind of wanted more of that, and we didn't see any of Class B. I think that's a big travesty. Well, except there's one thing I'll get to later on that I find really funny. But the biggest part of symbolism that I had never noticed in any of the first 3 openings until I finally caught it here, if you look at the beginning of each opening, beginning of opening 1, it's like the silhouette of All Might, and Izuku's reaching out to it, looking up to him. Then opening 2, Izuku is watching All Might as he's training and preparing. Opening 3, you see that Izuku actually takes All Might's hand and he's looking him in the eyes. And this is the first time we've seen Izuku growing through the beginning of each opening, and this is the first time at the beginning of this one, instead of looking at All Might, Izuku and All Might are sitting side by side. So I think that is like huge symbolism for the growth through every opening, and I was so surprised because I had never noticed that before now, that in each opening Izuku was growing. So I thought that was awesome. I thought that it was cool that they did a lot in the opening with showing the shots of the heroes and then shots of the villains, kind of juxtaposing the two, but even more so than that, there was a ton of Izuku and All Might, and then a ton of Shigaraki and All for One. Sorry, I always get All for One and One for All mixed up, because what the actual quirk does is the opposite of how the names work. The names work by their moral standing, not by what the quirk actually does. But either way, there was a lot of comparison there, and I really loved the comparisons that the show has been doing in general with the scenes of Izuku and Shigaraki, and it's making me like Shigaraki a ton more as a character. And really, I think the shots of him were my favorite ones from the whole opening. The one where he was walking and we have the Nomus behind him, and that sort of gets brighter until it's the silhouette of One for All with all the light behind him. That looked really cool, and of course it's not spoilers, it's obviously a One for All silhouette. We saw him at the end of last season. I mean, I don't really think it's spoilers to say, oh, that character looks like that. But I liked all that comparison. Now, I was happy seeing the pro heroes get a lot of time here, especially toward the end when the song is really, really building, and it's at the very end of the opening, and we see like Best Jeanist and what was it, Mount Lady and Kamui Wood going in. I liked seeing those characters get some like time to shine in an opening. That was really cool. But yeah, the Class B thing still bums me a little bit. And I felt like there was maybe some important stuff that was left out. Like I said, I would have liked to see more of the training camp stuff, more of the villains, other than just that one like splash panel. I do like that Toga stood out a lot during that, because I like Toga a lot as a character. But still, it was a bit weird. And also, in that big splash panel, not going to spoil a bunch of them and their names, but there was one of them for sure that I was like, why aren't they in the opening? Why aren't they there? But getting into the Class B thing I mentioned earlier, I didn't notice this at all in all the times that I watched it, until somebody pointed it out to me. They were like, there was some Class B in there, and this is great. We have the first little sequences where they're going and they show off, I think, like, Ida, what was it? Ida, Kirishima, Izuku, and Bakugo, and they're showing off those four, and then later on there's a scene where all the rest of the class is like jumping up or whatever, and it transitions into Todoroki. But when all the class is jumping up and everything, it's all of Class 1A except for those ones, the four they showed earlier, but there's also Tetsu in there, and I love how out of all Class B, Tetsu is just thrown in there alone with the rest of Class A. I love that. So yeah, I don't know. I like Tetsu. I would have liked to see more of Class B, though. At least like ones that we kind of already have been introduced to in Season 2, like Kendo, Monoma, Shiozaki. Ones that are more important like that are, what was his name, Subaraba or whatever, that had the air quirk. Ones that we've seen more of. But either way. So yeah, not having much from the trip or from Class B, and it covering so much that I didn't think it was going to show in the opening, it has me bringing up a lot of questions, but it's just so damn cool that it's so good that I almost don't care about all that stuff that has me worried. I just hope they don't rush stuff. But either way, there are ways they could get around this. They could always just have this for the first half and then have another opening for the second half that kind of goes over some of the same stuff. Or this could last for the first, like, if the stuff covered in this takes them, like, 2/3 of the season, like 16, 17 episodes, and then the last, like, 8 to 10 episodes, something like that, has a different opening and tells a different storyline. That could be cool. Or they could just keep this opening for the whole season, which, I don't know, 26 episodes or 25 episodes keeping the same opening the whole time. I like changing it up at the mid-season, but that's just me. That's just because I'm selfish and want more openings. But either way, let's talk about the episode itself now that we discussed the opening. But like I said, that was kind of a big part of what the episode's content was. So Shigaraki starts out, we get to see more of him finding his reasoning, what he wants to do, wants to kill All Might and show how fragile justice is. I like Kurogiri doing the first part of the recap, though. The way he talked about Izuku and compared Izuku to Shigaraki, and especially bringing up Stain, being like, this kid was saved and acknowledged by Stain, who was killing off the heroes he didn't feel worthy, so he thought that Izuku was worthy to live enough that he went out and saved him. And even before, when he was talking about Ida's brother and about Todoroki, he was saying things like, even if you say that you have the qualities of a hero, if you're not strong enough to kill me, if you're not strong enough to show it, then that doesn't matter. So for him to go out of his way to save somebody instead of letting the weak get cold, as he would say, it's cool to see that even the villains are recognizing that Izuku is special because Stain was able to go out of his way like that. And I like that Kurogiri was the one telling the story, just because he's a cool character. I like the way he talks a lot, the way he speaks very intelligently. Going from that, we have Vlad and Aizawa talking about, and this I think this is our first real introduction to Vlad. We saw him way back in Season 1 with all the rest of the teachers when they came to save the students at USJ. But this is the first time I think we've actually been given his name and all that, and I think it said at the bottom, Class 1B teacher. So, yeah, Vlad and Aizawa were discussing the training camp and all the students' quirks. We go over all that. And I like the way it kind of sets them all up as main characters. They give equal time and focus in that recap to all the characters of Class 1A. And I like that before we get to Class 1B, we cut away from that and they do the rest off screen. That way that it all logically makes sense, but also Class 1B's quirks aren't spoiled for us. Even though I think by this point we do know what quite a couple of their quirks are. And technically we have names for all of their quirks in the not really in the manga, but I think it was just some special thing that Horikoshi did where he just said what all the names of their quirks were, even if we don't know what they actually do. So Class A members, they're going to the pool for fan service, comedy, to give the recap some structure. I thought all that was really, really good though. I thought it was all funny, and it made sense and kept up with the character work and development, because even the little things, and that's one thing that I love about Boku no Hero Academia, I think the only other anime I could compare it to is Little Witch Academia, where you look back and even the small insignificant backgroundish kind of things all mean something and all work together for a reason. So I thought all the character work here was good because I could see characters interacting, and having been a manga reader, I won't get into it, but I know that later on all that stuff is important. So Ida's all kinds of jacked though. Like, holy damn, if I looked like Ida. But that aside, what... Any of you manga readers, don't spoil anything, but tell me, was this actually filler? Because when I was watching it, it looked like I had some weird deja vu or something, where I was like, I know I've seen this before. Was this in the manga? Was it a special or something? Because I could have sworn I've experienced this before. So I'm thinking that maybe this isn't really filler, and if you could call it that. And I really don't like that word for stuff that really develops the characters. I like to look at this as if I've never even read the manga. But it's something like Tsuyu's story that wasn't really filler. It was stuff that was confirmed to have happened in the manga, but it was just something that happened off panel and we actually got to see it on screen. I think that this could be something like that. I don't consider it filler because it develops the characters. But either way, Kaminari was a star here though with all this. Ida was too. I liked Ida's character here, but Kaminari was hilarious. I liked him here. And at first when they were going to the pool and doing all this, I was getting a little bit worried about the fan service because I didn't know how this was going to be handled, but I was happily wrong. Everything turned out really good. Because there's nothing wrong with fan service in my opinion if it fits the tone of the show and it doesn't really distract from anything, I guess, if the fan service is well done. But I just don't think that what I was sort of expecting at first was just them in bikinis or whatever and having these fan servicey shots of them for a little bit, not overdone or anything. I trust Boku no Hero Academia more than that. But I just don't think that that kind of thing would be fitting here. It just doesn't fit the pace and tone of the show that much. So I like the way they handled it. Then all the animation was weird for this because all of these swimming races in the pool were really well animated. They looked really good, and I was like, ooh, you are putting a lot of budget into them just swimming in the pool. I'm happy they did. I think it looked cool. It made me enjoy the episode, but still, I was like, wow, that's almost too good. Stop showing off. Then I thought a big part of the episode for me was Bakugo and Kirishima, seeing them sort of grow as friends, almost, where Kirishima's like, I was late because I went and made Bakugo come, and then later on they're walking back together. I really, really like that. We have more of All Might and Tsukauchi thrown in there. I like their relationship, so I'm glad to see that. I like Tsukauchi as a character a lot. But I like when Kirishima and Bakugo were walking home, and Kirishima's talking about Todoroki and Izuku, like, they're friends, right? Why are you being like this? Or why are you always like this? Or whatever. And Bakugo doesn't say, they aren't my friends or anything like that. He just says that he's going to be number one, which I like a lot for him. It shows that Bakugo still kind of cares about the other characters. He just, even though they're friends, he wants to be number one, and he's not going to take a back seat to either of them. And it really makes me respect and like the character a lot. Bakugo and Kirishima are both two of my favorite characters. Kirishima's been my favorite character for a while now. So yeah, and that's kind of it. We just have All Might and Izuku meeting up at the end. And I like that the last words I remember from Izuku were him just saying, "I'm here" to All Might. and then they cut away to more flashbacks and all that. But yeah, I thought the ending theme, that was good too. My favorite thing about it is I loved seeing the teachers in normal clothes, like at the very end when they're watching the fireworks and you see Midnight and Cementos in their normal clothes. I thought that was really, really cool. Just not in their hero get-ups. So yeah, then anything else? Oh, I like that Hatsume was in the ending with Power Loader, and Inko was there too. So yeah, we had an after credit scene where Vlad and Aizawa are still talking about the training camp, and Aizawa says, we've secretly changed the location, and only the higher ups know about it, not even the students know, and that's for security reasons. So yeah, I suppose that'll be important later. But either way, as the episode as a whole, I thought it had a good start for the season. The recap had important stuff in it, even though it was a lot of recap. And yeah, I just hope they don't rush things, but I trust them. So we'll see how this works out, I guess. I am hyped for next episode. The promo or preview, whatever, for it looks really, really good. So yeah, I'd give it 8 school swimsuits out of 10. It was a recap episode. A lot of it was. But it's not something you could skip, I feel like. I feel like there was a lot of important things in there that if you did skip it, you'd be missing out on stuff and a little bit confused. Especially for people that haven't watched Season 2 recently, or don't really keep up with the series. They might need this recap a bit more. So I thought it all made sense. 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope you did too. So if you did like the video, and comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more Boku no Hero Academia. We have reviews of this show are going to be on Saturdays, and then the manga, I guess Fridays are when we're going to have the live reactions for that. So yeah, both manga and anime on the channel. Then follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff with the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us there, then just ask and I can give you a link to that. So yeah, that's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.